Grab a shirt.
Yeah. Kids these days, I swear to God. It would not be a week if we didn't have Rome on the same page. It takes us 100. I've sent roughly 110 invites to Rome on Gmail to get them in, and we always start 25 minutes late. So, Talkin Chalk is the podcast, week 7. Rome, remember back in week 2 when we were doing the pod with Sterling, and I was talking about how in the blink of an eye it would just be like week 11, just out of nowhere.
Yeah, the good times, they go quickly. So
Week 7 college football. I'm your host, Alex Kloja, as always. Today I'm joined again by Rome, the regular. Rome, tell the people how you are doing.
hey guys, doing good. Hope you guys are doing good.
Absolutely. Today, Brian will be out. He's on the PUP list, physically able to perform, bringing in the next man up. Next man up. We got Doc from Sports to Gens. Doc, thanks for stopping by, man. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Glad to be here.
Yeah, you're damn right. So let's talk college football. This is where we talk college football, like everybody else, except we do it by the spread, by the total, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's talk a little bit about week 6. What happened? It's just been a really weird year. I feel like this year's been a little bit more hectic than prior years, and I think if you look at a few conferences in general, with the Pac-12 playing at home has been a death wish. Playing at home in the SEC has been a death wish. You look at Ole Miss, Alabama. You look at LSU beating Mississippi State early in the year. We got a good one coming up with Bama. Texas A&M will be dissecting that one here shortly, and it's just been hectic. We already talking Heisman. We're already getting to talk to college football playoff. Who's in, who's out, who looks good, who controls their own destiny, and whatnot. But for right now, let's talk about some recaps. Doc, why don't you start them off, man? Since this will be your first time at Talkin Chalk. How did you fare last week in week 6 for college football?
Last week went really good. Went 4-1 ATS. Hit my big play with Penn State -7. Was a little scared with the late steam that came in on Indiana towards the end of the in the morning and stuff. So, but that worked out well, like I thought it would. Let's see. Georgia Tech was my dud of the week. Complete no-show. That was a head scratcher. Hit with Arkansas +15 on a last-minute backdoor cover, which was nice. And
I love those.
I forget the other.
Fuck you, bro.
Yeah, and and what else? I hit another one. I can't. I forget what the other one was, but yeah, it was 4. It was a. I hit with Washington +17 on Thursday night, and nice. I forget what the other one was, but yeah, it was a 4-1. Good weekend. Yeah,
we talked about that Penn State game a little bit on the podcast last weekend. It was one of the games that one of the followers wanted to, get our take on, and I was the only one on Penn State, which, I mean, I'm not, trying to say that was anything spectacular or anything, but I just thought it was a really bad spot for Indiana coming into Happy Valley. Yeah, I mean, you come in Happy Valley, you nearly defeat the number 1 team in the nation, and Happy Valley is one of the most underrated stadiums in terms of crowd noise, and even though it was played during the day, fans were rocking, and it was, I mean, that was the last of the 5 home games stand for Penn State, and even looking at, because what was the final score, 29-7? I mean, it was a really convincing victory for Penn State. At the same time, Hackenberg was off with his receivers all day long. I think they fumbled in the red zone twice. It was actually a painful game to watch in the first half, but Indiana loses Xander Diamont in, I want to say it was the third quarter. So the third string comes in, pretty much took care of business. I thought it was the right side throughout the whole game, no matter how long it took for Penn State to kind of get the wheels churning. So that was definitely a good play to start off the day for you, Doc.
Tennessee was the other one.
Tennessee was the other one. And that was another game that we had dissected too last weekend. We seemed to be all on the same page there, and it was once again a weird spot for Georgia. Getting just absolutely I mean, I don't even know the word for it, but they just got handled by Alabama, and then they go on the road, and it doesn't really matter at this point how much Tennessee wants to win or lose. The crowd was into it. They overcame a really big deficit, and I don't know if they should have won that game or not, but you have to respect the willingness and kind of the resilience of Tennessee. They're going to give you your best shot every game. It's kind of a shame to see such a talented program like that and such a a fun offense to watch kind of grow weary as the season goes on. So we won't be seeing them in the college football playoff, although expectations were held extremely high for the Volunteers. So not a bad weekend at all, huh, Doc?
Not a bad weekend at all. I'll take it.
Yeah. Perfect. Rome, let's go to you. I know you had some good ones last weekend.
Yeah, a lot of crazy, another crazy weekend of college football, starting on Thursday with Washington upsetting USC, which obviously ended up costing Sark his job, and that was just kind of a crazy result. Wish I was on that one. That was a nice hit, Doc. Very nice hit. That Georgia game, Nick Chubb getting hurt. Obviously that's the last thing anybody wanted to see. Felt like a repeat from what happened last year with Mr. Gurley. So just wanted to wish you well, Nick Chubb. To you or anybody listening out there, I'm rooting for you to get better here. But yeah, my plays last week was 1-2 result. I believe we had a completely wrong read on the Navy Notre Dame under. I know that we hit on the Cal and Utah under just barely, but we did. And then I believe I was recommending at the end, I was sticking with my gut, going with the Northwestern game. And that one was close too. It was a late Michigan touchdown that unfortunately did cause the game to go over. But there's a lot of line movement that day too. So as soon as I saw the over went up, I think it was originally at 35 or something. I think it ended at 37, 38. So that was a sign that it was going to get there. Anyways, it was close, but it didn't hit. So we ended up going 1-2.
Yeah, not bad. That's such a shame for college football in general to see a guy like Nick Chubb, a Heisman hopeful, and pretty much the backbone for a Georgia Bulldogs team go down. And that injury is just gruesome. I mean, I couldn't. My roommate was trying to persuade me to watch it, but I couldn't. I was kind of peeking through the corner of my eye, and I saw it, and I just winced. I can't take that kind of stuff. I'm not good with injuries like that. So, but yeah, I mean, you can't cap stuff like that. Your star running back goes out in the first possession, and imagine what happens if Nick Chubb's in that game. Obviously, Sony Michel is one of the prime backups to Nick Chubb. He filled in very nicely, a real good athlete on that offense, but still, Nick Chubb not being in that game definitely affected it, and you got to wonder if he's in the game, what happens. So that was sweet of you, Rome, giving your heartfelt condolences to Nick Chubb as if he was listening. I think he is listening right now. It says we have 2 viewers. I wouldn't doubt if he's listening. He got shit to do.
Hey, if you're one of the
that Rome guy funny as hell, man.
If you're one of the 2 out there, Nick, I'm rooting for you, bud.
This one's for you. This one's for you, Sark, right here.
This one's for you. This one is for you, Nick Chubb.
There's vodka in there. There's vodka in there, Sark. Yeah, no, honestly, I'm actually I'm glad they made the move. I didn't think Sark was the right hire. I live here in LA. So anyways, I just wanted to put that in there real quick.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely get into that here soon because I definitely want to touch on that with the Notre Dame USC game. For me, last week it was 2-1, moving on to 13-6 so far on the podcast. It was very strange to say the least in pretty much every game that I had given out. First one was Ohio State minus 32.5, and for anybody that has read my Maize and Brew post, if you did, thank you. If not, then let me inform you. Last week was the 4th consecutive week that I had laid the chalk with Ohio State, thinking that it was the time that they broke through the floodgates on offense and totally handled their opponent. And I thought that the Maryland Terrapins, a team that had come in just lackadaisical, terrible on offense coming into the shoe, would be the perfect recipe for Urban Meyer and the Buckeyes to kind of get going. That didn't happen. Maryland goes up 7-0, and by that time I'm just kicking myself and wanting to know when. I don't even want to know when Ohio State's going to get up. I really don't care anymore. I made a list of all the things that I would rather do than bet Ohio State because I'll never touch an Ohio State spread for the rest of the season, because if I keep doing it, they're going to keep backstabbing me, and the minute I go against them, they're going to throw up 60, and I'm going to be furious. So I had them minus 32.5. They were up by 28 with 3 minutes left and were driving, and I thought that they were going to get that backdoor touchdown. They didn't. So that was a heartbreaker right there. Definitely a lot of emotions in that one, seesawing through the pendulum. The next game that I gave out was Rice plus 3.5, and strangely enough, Florida Atlantic went up 26-14 with 9 minutes to go in the fourth, and then the downpour came, and there was like a 90-minute delay. And here I'm hoping that the game gets, not postponed, but cut short. And I know some books definitely cancel the action, so I'm hoping that the downpour just keeps coming. Sure enough, Rice comes out, scores, gets a stop, and then, wash, rinse, repeat, or whatever the saying's called. And then they ended up winning by 1. So I got to thank Mother Nature for that one. Mother Nature came up huge in that one. The intangible forces were just, oh, man, that was a good one. And then Minnesota-Purdue, another 10-6 at halftime. Minnesota throws up 28 in the third quarter, ends up tailing a field goal late in the fourth to go over by 1. And then Wyoming late night. I don't think there's a worse team in the country than Wyoming. And there's some bad teams in college football. I think the whole Sun Belt, then there's some bad teams in the MAC and some garbage teams in Conference USA. Wyoming might be the worst team in the nation. I think the Sports Degens could put a team together and we could cover a 3-touchdown spread versus Wyoming. They are that bad. I've never seen a team fumble so many times in my life. It was disgusting.
The second half line on that. The second half line on that was minus 9.5.
Yeah.
That just shows you that. Yeah.
Oh, it was brutal. It was one of the worst, best wins of the weekend, and definitely the college football season. I mean, 24-point dogs. They go down 31-7. Every time they touch the ball, I'm watching on GameCast and ESPN, and it's like Wyoming fumbles recovered by Air Force. I'm just I didn't know what to do. I'm just looking around for somebody to help me. But that's what happens when you bet on a garbage team like that. So
I need an adult. Help me.
What?
That's what Rob Perez always says. His trademark. I need an adult.
Oh yeah, I needed several for that game. That was bad.
Anytime you bet on a bad team, just get out the Pepto and just sweat it out.
There's really not much you can do. I mean.
No.
And what sucks is right when you click submit, you're like, wow, this is gonna suck. Right when you, right? I mean, and the thing is, 24 points is a lot of points. So you got to think, if Air Force, if they go up 14-0, it's okay. They're gonna score points, but every time I'm like, this is so stupid. I'm watching this game on GameCast, and it's fumble. Air Force runs for 94 yards on a handoff, and I'm just and here's the thing, on GameCast you could watch the highlight of the touchdowns and stuff. So I'm watching it, trying to get a look at this Wyoming team. Oh my God, they're so small. Why did I bet on this team? They look like a team when you play high school football and you're a powerhouse and you play a first round game and you just beat the team 76-0. It's just inner city kids that have a thigh pad sticking out. It was so bad. The most remedial team that I have ever had the luxury of watching in my life. And what's weird is Wyoming's only getting 7 points at home to Nevada this week. So that's one of those lines that kind of makes you think of taking Wyoming because of the low number. But I don't think I could stomach it again. That's just how bad it was. So
I don't want you pulling a Rome and end up taking teams that you swore you'd never take again. That's
yeah, that's one of the commandments. That's number 12. If you had to add commandments, that'd be number 12 for sure. So yeah, my weekend was eventful to say the least. A lot of emotional swing. It looked really bad at one point, then it turned really good, and then it was all over the place. So yeah, not a bad week at all. Moved to 14-6 actually, I should say, with the upset alert. We put a team on upset alert, and sure enough, I gave out Wyoming. I thought, I might as well. Let's get into some plays of the day. Saturday is going to be here before we know it. We got some action coming on tomorrow. We got some action coming on Friday as well. Large slate, kind of a weird slate. First looks for me was kind of iffy. Nothing that really stood out, but after looking at some key games, I'm actually going to be playing some bigger games this weekend than normal instead of trying to find some value in these little conferences. But Rome, you usually start them off with the plays of the day, so you can go ahead and give your number one, and we'll go around the horn.
Okay, sounds good, Alex. So listen, so this weekend we were conferring before the hangout, and we got some plays that we all really kind of mutually like. So I'm gonna actually, I think Doc is gonna talk about this game a little bit later, but I just wanted to mention Alabama going into Texas A&M. Just really quickly, I really like out of everything this weekend, I really like A&M at home as 4-point dogs. Undefeated 5-0. Bama's got the one loss. I think the eye test would probably tell us this far that this is going to be a really good matchup, and it's going to be obviously hopefully a great result. But yeah, let me get A&M on that one as far as just kind of what I'm absolutely just kind of most confident with this weekend.
Nice. That's a weird game. For me, everybody's got their own system, their own little tactic for capping games, whether it be making lines before. For me, I don't make lines because they're already out on Sunday, and I usually don't have time with capping NFL on Sunday. So what I do is I'll make totals, and if I see one that's higher than what I expected, and there's people hammering the under, then I'll actually take the over, vice versa. And making this Texas A&M Bama game, I originally thought it'd be around 58 or 59. It's as low as 51.5 and 52.
It is low, yeah.
Yeah,
that would suggest like a blowout, or like it would suggest one team's not going to score a lot.
Yeah. See, I think if it's 57 or 58, then you got to like Texas A&M to score. But this one makes me think that I don't know. This isn't a game. This will be a game that I watch from start to finish. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't have a take on this one, but hard not. And I wouldn't agree with you if I didn't like it, but I think it's kind of hard not to take points, even though I've seen a lot of people on Texas A&M. They're going to get a hungry team that is still very well alive for the college football playoff in Alabama. So whether this is people liking Texas A&M because of the undefeated record and what they've done so far, it's very hard to count out Nick Saban. It should be a good one. But like you said, home team getting points, hard not to like. They are getting 4.5. Is that correct?
I think 4.
4 to 4.5. Yeah. Yeah.
Not a bad number. Yeah. So you're going to start them off with the Aggies and Kevin Sumlin's boys, bro. Correct?
Yep.
Awesome. Doc, go ahead, man.
A&M. Virginia Tech, Miami. Virginia Tech, Miami. So one of my top plays this week is Virginia Tech traveled down to play the Miami Hurricanes. There's two things that I like about this game. One, it's a revenge game. I don't put a lot of stock into revenge games. I think it's a little like overused when it comes to handicapping. If a team comes into your place and spanks you by more than 3 touchdowns, actually, then that's definitely a game that a team is going to have circled the next year. Virginia Tech got slaughtered last year in Blacksburg. Believe, if I'm not mistaken, Miami ran for over 340 yards in that game. That was when Duke Johnson was in the lineup. That was when Philip Dorsett was in the lineup. They don't have the playmakers on offense that they do now. So that's the revenge factor that I like. Second thing is this is a horrible, horrible sandwich spot for Miami. They just came off the emotional rivalry game against Florida State. Could have won that game. They ended up losing 29-24, I believe. So now they have to have a quick turnaround against a hungry Virginia Tech team that Bud Foster, Bud Foster's going to have his defense ready to clamp down. So who does Miami have next? Clemson. So number fifth or sixth ranked team in the country, I believe. So not only is this a revenge spot, but it's also a sandwich spot for Miami. I don't care who plays quarterback for Virginia Tech. I do believe Michael Brew is going to play. Either way, I think the defense of Virginia Tech steps up, and I think they get a win in Miami this weekend.
Yeah,
And I will
definitely,
take the +6.
definitely a weird spot coming in. Heartbreaking loss, coming back at home, playing a somewhat slack opponent. A Virginia Tech team that really hasn't played up to expectations. Every year, Virginia Tech is supposed to be in that middle to high part of the ACC. Obviously, it hasn't been that way the past few seasons.
Right.
But still, I think if you look at the spot, it's definitely one of those spots where you don't know if Miami's going to wake up and start delivering the first blow. And like you mentioned, Doc, I don't know if they have the playmakers on offense. You made a good
Correct.
point about that. I don't think the firepower is there. I really don't.
Right.
I mean, they still have yet to really they have yet to really establish a go-to target, and they haven't found that guy. And I know from watching this team for the past few years that they wanted to make that guy Stacey Coley, but he has been non-existent with injuries. He's been in the return game a little bit. Corn Elder is a guy that they use in special teams that can propel big play. But as far as offensive number-wise, could you imagine? I mean, even looking at last year, could you imagine how good Miami could be if Brad Kaya had somebody to throw to? I mean, two or three just even respectable receivers. So this is a big game for Virginia Tech, statement game. And you look at Miami's mentality too. 2 straight losses, 1 to Cincinnati, they come back, Florida State, lose that game. So I think you're definitely onto something there for sure. So taking Va-Tech plus the 6 points, correct?
Correct.
All right, yeah. So for me, I'm going to take the Oklahoma Sooners minus 4.5 and the team total over 31. This is a game where Bob Stoops and the Sooners are going to come into Kansas State, and it's not a good spot for either team. First off, you look at Oklahoma getting trounced by Texas in the Red River rivalry. Try saying that 5 times fast. That was hard to say. Playing in the Red River rivalry. Charlie Strong just outcoached Bob Stoops in that game. Just to kind of veer off of that, that's a huge win for Texas. I'm all on board for Charlie Strong. I don't think he's got anything to work with. Schedule's been tough, but Oklahoma coming into Kansas State, not a good spot. Obviously, they're laying 4.5, and I'm actually going to fade the whole Bill Snyder thing. Obviously, one of the best coaches against the spread. One of the guys that you don't want to bet against in Bill Snyder Family Stadium. But I think if you look at this game and you look at Kansas State the past 2 weeks, how detrimental the losses have been, and you look at 2 weeks ago versus Oklahoma State, Kansas State had that game locked up. They let the Pokes score with a minute left in the game. So you kind of have to erase that game, come back at home to play the number 2 team in the country in TCU. And Kansas State was up and ready for that game. I mean, I was merely surprised that they brushed off that loss to Oklahoma State so fast. So you're getting 9 points with Kansas State, which was strictly burglary in my opinion. Obviously, when you look at Bill Snyder and what he's done, they go up 18.5, and then in a blink of an eye, that's gone. Trevon Boykin just ran wild on that defense. It's a defense that has struggled so much against a dual-threat quarterback, and it was so obvious last weekend in what Trevon Boykin was doing, improvising and pretty much picking apart that defense in the second half. So now Kansas State has to come back after 2 really bad losses. It's a 2:30 game or 3:30 game at home. They're seemingly cut from conference play with 2 losses already. Oklahoma, Bob Stoops, past 5 years, after a loss as a favorite, he's averaging 41.4 points per game. I don't see how Baker Mayfield doesn't light it up versus a defense that's just been brutal. I mean, the past few weeks, giving up points to Louisiana Tech. I mean, God forbid that it was 3 overtimes, but Oklahoma State, and just getting gashed by TCU. So I'm going to take Oklahoma on the team total over 31, which I think is absolutely stealing. And I'm taking the Sooners minus 4.5 as my mortal lock. And I drew a turtle wearing an Oklahoma hat that says "I love Baker." So that's going to be my rally turtle for the weekend.
Nice.
I'm riding the Stoops. I'm riding the Stoops train. I just think that this line I think people look at last week and saw what Kansas State, quote unquote, could do, but I don't think they're going to do that again versus Oklahoma. This is a team that's still very well alive in the Big 12 and still very well alive in the college football playoff, given TCU and Baylor have to play each other, so one of those two teams has to lose. And I think when you look at Pirine and Mayfield after the game that they had last weekend, I think they're going to come out and they're going to light up that defense. I really do. I think Oklahoma wins 41-21. Give me the Sooners and the team total over. So that's my big one for Week 7 on Saturday, and then we will start going back around the horn.
Cool, Alex. I like it. I think that's a great. I don't know what's more impressive, that turtle drawing or the the insights that you gave about that last game. I like it. I think coming off a loss, I think Oklahoma's going to be really motivated to come in and and whoop some ass. So love it. All right, so second game I'm looking at, and we were talking about this game before going live. It's Michigan State going on the road into the Big House, into Michigan. Number 7 Michigan State, number 12 Michigan. I mean, Michigan's, we were just talking about it, Wolverines got to be basically the hottest team in the country. Really had an impressive game last weekend, coming off, I think it was a 38-0 shutout victory over Northwestern. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is obviously going to be a hell of a game. I talk about motivation, talk about revenge games. I mean, I know that doesn't even really make sense almost in this case, but I think for some reason, I think Michigan State, their players are going into this game thinking we're 8-point underdogs going on the road, understandably, but we're still 8-point underdogs and we're undefeated. Michigan's 5-1. Yes, they've been hot. Yes, they've been playing really well offensively and defensively. Yes, they have Jim frickin' Harbaugh and the whole Harbaugh effect. But I don't know. I just like senior quarterback. I like the experience, in Mr. Cook with Michigan State. So, I like him to go on the road and not necessarily lose his points. The +8, taking +8. If you can give me a touchdown and the next, plus, if you can give me 8 on the road, that's really hard for me not to take that. I know that Alex was also talking about and recommending the first half, Michigan State first half play. That's definitely not a bad play either. I think that'll probably hit too. Yeah, but I'll stick with the final with the +8, and and hopefully we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I was looking at this game from a different standpoint, and one thing that I've noticed is that Michigan State has been getting off to some pretty fast starts, and I think that the thing that people look at is the fact that they're not covering spreads is because they've been taking the foot off the gas pedal late in games, especially when we look at Western Michigan in Week 1 and Air Force and having trouble versus Purdue. I think the first quarter over could be a good play. I think if you get it at I don't know what it would open up at. The total being at 40, I'm guessing the first quarter over would be 7 or 7.5. I think this could be a game where one team comes out and runs a trick play or tries to go deep on the first play of the game and really kind of opens it up. I don't know if this is going to be a ground and pound game like everybody says it's going to be, because I don't know if Michigan State can force a game where it's going to be running up the middle. I think they're going to have to utilize Connor Cook a little bit and Aaron Burbridge, his wide receiver. So there's a lot of stuff that comes with this game. Michigan, for me being my team, it's a little bit harder because I try to look at all angles and I kind of get confused on what I want to do. So it's a little bit more of an intricate process. So I like Michigan State plus the points. I wrote that in my article. I think Michigan wins the game because they're the hottest team in the country, and I think that defense is absolutely true, and I think that they are as good as they appear with Peppers and Stribling and Clark and Lewis. That secondary is just unbelievable, and when you get pressure on the quarterback, their D-line, it makes it so much easier. And a team that's gelling right now, it's absolutely the Harbaugh effect. You look at what Michigan's doing, and you look at what the 49ers are doing. I mean, it's guy might be one of the best coaches in college football, the hottest team in the nation right now, but I just think 7.5 in a rivalry game is a lot of points. And here's another thing to point out. Michigan's had trouble scoring on Michigan State in the past. They're averaging 13 points per game in the last, I want to say, 6 meetings. Defensive coordinator Pat Narduzzi is not there anymore, head coach of Pitt. So you got somebody else governing that defense. It's not a quick strike offense for Michigan. Jake Rudek's more of a quote-unquote game manager. But it's an offense that still has a lot of skill players on the outside. Darbo, Chesson, Jake Butt, tight end. So they're going to give a lot of different looks. I really wish I could say I knew how this game was going to play out, but who would have thought that Michigan was going to come out and trounce Northwestern 38-0? You know what I'm saying? So I think when in doubt, you have to take the points in the rivalry game. I do. Just my take. Doc, do you have a take on the Michigan State game?
Man, I think when last weekend when we saw this line against Northwestern climb to 10, you kind of had a feeling low total, high number. I had a feeling that Michigan was going to roll, especially with a freshman quarterback for Northwestern. I didn't get involved in it. I didn't want any part of it, but it really didn't shock me to see Michigan roll like that. I actually talked to this with a couple buddies of mine, and this is the thing about Michigan is if you're laying 8 with Michigan, I'm not getting involved in this game at all, but if you're laying 8 points with Michigan, then you're betting a bad number. Especially when first of all, beginning of the week, you probably could have got them at -3. I don't know what the look-ahead line was, but I do believe Michigan State was favored. To me, it is a rivalry game. Not to mention, you have to take a look at who Michigan has faced at quarterback. Nobody like Connor Cook. But this is the thing with Michigan State that you have to realize is that Langford, Lippett, the playmakers for Michigan State are not there anymore. So to me, it's either to me it's a stay away game.
Yeah,
I kind of lean to I kind of lean to Michigan, but it is a rivalry game, and points may come at a premium. You just don't know. I mean, look, Michigan State, have they looked impressive? No. But do they have a hell of a coach? Yes, they do. So that's one thing you have to take into account. So for me, it's a stay away game, but I'm just going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't. I think when you look at the point spread being 8 and the significance of the shift, having Michigan, say 2 weeks ago, open up as a 4-point dog, all the way up to -8 with a total at 40. Yeah, given this is a rivalry game, it's going to be college game day. I don't think if you have a lean or anything spectacular that you should just stay away from this game. It's going to be a fun game. The crowd is going to be over 112,000 people there. It's going to be one of the biggest games that Michigan's played in I can't tell you how many years. So I think you should just take in the nostalgic effect and find some other value, to be perfectly honest with you. So
yep, agree.
Yeah. Let's Oh yeah, you're up, Doc. You gave your input on Michigan State, so let's get your second play of the day.
Okay, we'll go to South Bend, Indiana, Notre Dame, USC. This is another game where you're just basically getting all the value in the world on USC, and the line before Sark was let go was, I believe, Notre Dame -2, -3. And now you're getting 6.5, 7 in some spots with a little bit extra vig. Look, this USC team is second to none talent-wise. You got Cody Kessler, you got Juju, you got Adoree Jackson, you got a ton of playmakers on both sides of the ball. When I take a look at this whole Sark situation, and I was on Washington. I thought it was going to be a flat spot for them, looking ahead to Notre Dame. Coming off the bye week, teams, tend to not click on offense immediately. What was he thinking? Less than 4 minutes left, and you're down 5, and you're in Washington territory, and you go for a field goal. I did not get that. Sark might have been drunk, for that one. So these players, not only are they playing for pride, but they're also playing for NFL contracts. And hey, this team has a new lease. They got 2 losses. They're out of the national championship hunt. They're going to play loose. They have nothing to lose. And then you got to take a look at it. What Brian Kelly's aspect is. Well, now that Sark's not the coach, what are they going to throw at us? No clue. So I believe that this USC team is going to come into South Bend loose, and I will gladly take the 6.5 to 7 points. Wouldn't shock me if USC went outright.
Yeah, you look at Cody Kessler's tenure at Southern Cal, obviously one of the best pocket passers in the country right now. He's only lost 8 times since 2013 when he was the regular starting quarterback. The following 8 games, he's 8-0 against the spread. So he has yet to lose consecutive games wearing burgundy and gold, or whatever colors you want to call it. So I don't know. I don't know a fucking color palette next to me. Jesus. I like USC too. I'm gonna actually get into that on my next play. I'm gonna stay with the big. You know what? I'm just asking for a death wish. Just put a knife right in my heart right now. Just do it, Rome. Just kill me right now.
I got a knife in my kitchen. I'll go grab one.
This is so stupid right now. I'm not even kidding. I'm gonna play the Penn State team total under 15.5. And here we go.
Wow.
Who are they playing? Ohio State.
Wow.
I really.
Say under 15.5 team total, is that what you said?
Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing with myself right now. I want everybody listening to this podcast to remember this moment. Because I asked for all of this. I'm not kidding. This will be the 5th week that I've put something on an Ohio State game, and it will be my 5th consecutive loss. And I will quit Twitter if this loses.
No, you will not. No, you will not.
Look at my hand. Look at the calluses on my hand. I'm done. I'll delete every social media platform if this doesn't hit. And let me get into why I think that Penn State's going to struggle. Why Penn State's going to throw up 40 in Columbus. So, Penn State has meshed extremely well the past few weeks. After the Temple loss, they kind of got everything going with the offense a little bit. The defense has been great. Leaned on the defense. The offensive line sucks. Hackenberg, it's a shame that guys like Christian Hackenberg get a lot of the pub because they're NFL ready, not because they're throwing up numbers. I wish guys like Brandon Doughty from Western Kentucky, or just not even Mike Bercovici, but guys that throw up. Matt Johnson from Bowling Green. I wish guys like that got more public attention for throwing for 400 yards a game instead of these guys that can sit in the pocket and look good because they have NFL ready arms. Christian Hackenberg has not looked good in this season, and everybody felt that this was going to be the year that he revamps after a down year last season. This was going to be the year that he shows NFL scouts why he's going to be the #1 projected pick. I watched him play a few times, and he just looks like he's so out of sync with his receivers. And I don't want to hear the whole thing, if he had receivers, then he'd be good. He's got a healthy receiving corps with Deshaun Hamilton, so I don't want to hear anything about that. The one thing that I love about this game is that Penn State's played 5 consecutive home games, and now they're going to go back on the road in Columbus at night. And you look at last year, Ohio State nearly lost that game in Happy Valley last year as 14-point favorites. And something tells you that with that D-line that Ohio State has, they're going to get a ton of pressure on Christian Hackenberg. That line, I expected 17 seems about right. But the total is what really kind of draws me to this, because I had originally perceived it as a 54 to 55 type thing. 48, 47.5. And then I started digging a little bit more. Penn State's been brutal on the road offensively. Hackenberg, being the quarterback in the past 2.5 years, has scored 14 points or less in 7 of 9 road games. So now you're asking a guy who hasn't been on the road in over 6 weeks to go into Columbus and try and light up a team that's trying to get style points and trying to show everybody that they are #1. I don't see it. I know 15.5 is not a big number, but you look at Ohio State, they had trouble with a running quarterback in Perry Hills last week. If they can get pressure on Hackenberg like everybody has, then this one should stay under. And if it doesn't, then I don't know. I made this.
What do we got?
Can you see it?
Hackenberg sucks my.
Yeah. No, here, I'll just keep talking so everybody can see what I drew. I'm a really good drawer, honestly. I should enroll in some more art classes.
I'm impressed. Really.
I am.
Thanks, guys. So, yeah, Penn State, team total under 15.5. And once again, remember this segment of the podcast. So when you're watching the game and Penn State puts up 7 with 12:37 left to go in the first quarter, you'll find me. I won't exist on Twitter. Try to at me. Try to at me. I've already been removed. Look how serious this face is. Look at my eyebrows. They're quivering. They're quivering. I'm so furious. I'm so shook. Listen to me right now. It's Wednesday night. The game isn't even on for 3 days. I'm already shook.
Oh,
Penn State might score 100 points on Saturday.
No, I don't understand.
They might score 100.
Understand what all the love.
What's up?
I don't understand why everybody thought that Hackenberg. I just don't get it. I don't know what they see in this kid.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know. McShay and Kuiper, they want to be in some adult film with Christian Hackenberg. I'll tell you that much right now. It's bad. It's bad. They don't.
Apparently.
Yeah. So that's mine. Penn State team total under 15.5. Rome number 3.
Oh boy, guys. All right. Well, first of all, I really like that last pick and just the whole production of that last pick segment, Alex. That was well done.
Yeah. I'm shook, man.
No, honestly, I love, because I know you're big with numbers and trends, and I love the just looking at the numbers. That total under is just suspiciously low for that game. It really is. I'm looking at it right now, right? 46.5 or 47, 48, whatever. You would think that game would easily be probably at least in the low 50s, if nothing else. But that would really indicate that Ohio State might score 38, 40 something, and then Penn State could get shut out. It's like that's like literally kind of how it's looking to me. So I really like the logic and how you piece that together, Alex. And I'm rooting for you.
Man.
I like doing these pods with you, and I like having you on Twitter. So hopefully.
No problem, man. I got another guy to root for me then, at least,
There you go. But yeah, man. That being said, so I was looking at a couple plays that I'm. Initially we were talking about. Again, before the pod, I was looking at that West Virginia going on the road into Baylor. I know, and I'm not going to take this game. I just wanted to quickly talk about it. I was first kind of got the feeling, the over/under is set at 75. That's still pretty high. Obviously we all know Baylor could put up 60 of their own potentially, but I think West Virginia's defense is a little bit better this year. On the road, it's still a tall task. I just had a lean on that under. I was looking at that earlier. Another one that I'd rather take, and a game that I'm kind of looking at even closer because I think it's a very interesting game as well, is going to be in the SEC. You got Florida, number 8 Florida, another one of the hottest teams in the nation, going on the road into Death Valley, playing at LSU, number 6. Everybody knows Leonard Fournette. Everybody knows, LSU has looked very, very strong so far this year, and this is a tough game because even though Florida's going to be Will Grier, starting quarterback, got suspended for the performance enhancers. Treon Harris is not obviously the best quarterback, but he's a decent enough and experienced enough replacement to come in, still hopefully manage the game. Looking at the over/under number 2, this is at 46, which is probably right where you'd think it'd be with two SEC defensive teams. But Leonard's obviously the X factor in this game. He could break one, I want to say, at any time, even on a Florida defense. That guy is just unbelievable, really. So, I don't know. I'm looking at this game. LSU favored by 9.5. A lot of that is such a high number, obviously, because of the overreaction of the suspension of Will Grier. But it's hard for me not to like LSU in this game, especially at home. I don't know. Both teams undefeated. I could see LSU going 6-0. I could see Florida, going 6-1. But 9.5 is still a big number. Jim McElwain is, he's definitely the legit, real deal coach. He came in and really turned this program around in comparison to where it's been the past couple of years. So this is a tough matchup. So probably tread lightly on this one. But I'm going to roll with LSU to cover the 10 on this one, guys.
Yeah, Treon Harris is one of those quarterbacks that's just kind of an eyesore to watch. Reminds me a lot of Tyrone Swoops from Texas, in that it's just sometimes so lackluster and getting the offense together, and it's almost like raw talent. Like all they need is kind of, I wouldn't say a year, but just a tweak in their mechanics, and they're right there. So it's going to be tough for Treon Harris to come off after losing the starting job to come back and like you said, play against a pretty good defense in LSU and Leonard Fournette, who's seemingly set himself apart from every running back in the country. One of the Heisman front runners right now. So wouldn't be a game that I touch because I suck at SEC. So, like you said, tread lightly. But yeah, LSU without a starting quarterback for Florida looks rather appetizing, if I say so myself. So, Doc, go ahead, man. Go ahead, Doc.
All right. Well, I actually looked at this game just recently. Actually, I did a pod with two guys earlier this evening.
You bang him?
And no.
Strictly or strictly audio.
It was audio. It was audio. All audio. Audio.
So it was all oral?
Oh, oral.
You like that one, didn't you, Romy?
That's
Hey,
what
Romy, you like that one, didn't you?
That's what I was trying to say, brother.
Hey, Romy, that was kind of funny, though, wasn't it?
Only when you say it.
All right, go ahead, Doc.
Well, so one of the guys brought this game up, and I actually gave I just quick pulled up some quick data on it, and then I looked a little bit into it, and I actually kind of like it. So I am going to take the Wake Forest Demon Deacons plus 17.5 at North Carolina.
Love it.
North Carolina, this just, first of all, the line opened at 15, and is North Carolina playing well? Better. Gene Chizik has done an excellent job with his defense. I mean, it's been eye-opening. But this is the thing, and you got to take a look at Wake Forest and who they've played. They are Elon. Okay, let's just whatever scrimmage. At Syracuse, they lost 30-17. They beat an Army team that's actually improved this year. Army's not Navy or anything, but they're improved.
Not a slack team. Not a cakewalk.
No.
No.
Lost against Indiana, 31-24. Then against Florida State, they lost 24-16, outgaining the Seminoles in that game. And then now they're coming off a very impressive 3-0 win in Chestnut Hill against Boston College. Boston College, as everybody knows, has the top defense in the country. Wake Forest actually has a pretty good defense as well, ranked 15th in the nation. Let's see, allowing 296 yards a game, 4.84 yards per play. And this is the thing about North Carolina, and this is another thing what I like to do with teams coming off the bye, that like to play, that like to score a lot, have a lot of, the bye week is never good for a team that's rolling offensively. It's the worst thing that can happen. And I just think that, Wake Forest could come in and stay within the number in this one. I mean, 17.5, a lot of points. And Wake Forest is not as bad as people think. I mean, they played Florida State tooth and nail, and I wouldn't be shocked if North Carolina comes in this one a little flat.
Yeah, the offense for Wake Forest is nothing to write home about, obviously. So you kind of have to look at this game as if Wake, what they're going to do, they're going to try and win the possession game and grind out first downs and keep the ball away from Marquise Williams and North Carolina. Obviously, a team that can score in the blink of an eye, a team that really just wants to get in shootouts and really run up and down the field. And now that they got a somewhat stable defense, it takes the pressure off of the offense. But still, 17.5 is a lot of points to give to a defense that's really rose to the occasion this season. And like you mentioned, Doc, a team that's played a handful of really good teams so far. So I wouldn't say that this is a team that's coming in hot, but it's a team that's kind of gelling in some sort, if that makes sense, per se. A team that's really kind of got things going. It's not a team that's in disarray. It's not a team that's getting steamrolled by opponents. I mean, sure, the offense hasn't been great, but 17.5, getting 3 scores, even against North Carolina, could be. And who knows how North Carolina is going to take this game versus a team that's won, 2 games? I mean, and I just I'm going to do a little digging here while I'm at it. So,
North Carolina's coming off 4 straight wins.
Yeah. 7 p.m. game, night game in Chapel Hill. Nobody really on deck for North Carolina.
No, playing UVA.
Playing Virginia at home, but like you mentioned, if this game was a week after beating Georgia Tech, then I can definitely see that the offense coming together and kind of using that momentum from that win. But like you said, that time off, it doesn't really do anything for the team. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you made a really good point. I like that a lot. That's awesome. Good stuff, dude.
Thanks.
Is that all? So we're good with that? You're taking Wake plus the 17 and a hook.
Wake plus 17.5. Yep.
I just want to, Doc. I just want to bring up that North Carolina is a team. They have a history on the Talkin Chalk pod. So I just want to. Marquise Williams, I think,
we would never.
I don't know enough about Wake is all I wanted to say to even throw out an opinion on the game, but Marquise Williams did come through for me. Was it last weekend? It was either last weekend or the weekend before that. But that's probably the only time he'll come through ever. So. Yeah,
the aforementioned Tar Heels of North Carolina is a team that we do not like to talk about on this podcast. Because it's like taking Ohio State times 100, and it's just a team. It's a team that you really just can't figure out. Whatever way you bet, it goes opposite. So that's.
Anyways, good luck, Doc. I think it was a good read though.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's a really good take on it. I know, like I said, SEC not my strong suit. ACC isn't as well. You see a lot of those totals in the 44s and 46s. I don't like playing those low totals and high spreads. I usually get boned on those, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'll leave the ACC and the Demon Deacon connoisseur to you, Doc. So.
It's like Bubba and UMass.
Yeah, Bubba goes to the UMass well every week. It's unbelievable.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Oh, Bubba every week with UMass. Being a sport management major, we learn a lot about brand loyalty, and that's a perfect example. Like Bubba lives and dies by UMass. It's just
I live in Massachusetts, and I do not care about UMass.
Oh man, don't let Bubba hear that.
Yeah, it's every week. It's we'll go to you, Brian. Yeah, I've played this team 3 or 4 times and they've come through. So I'm gonna take the UMass Minutemen. They got a great quarterback in Apple. They throw the ball.
They do.
They're getting a lot of points. They're getting a lot of points. I've got to take the Minutemen, my guys.
It's hard when you get plus 20 every weekend. It's hard.
Yeah, it makes it easy when you can just blind bet your favorite team. So yeah, brand loyalty, Bubba and his UMass Minutemen. God forbid.
Miss you, Bubba.
Yeah, I miss you, man. God damn it, I miss you so much. Dude, Brian is so much better than you, Doc. It's so funny. Oh man, not even funny, man. God. Oh.
Damn it.
I really, after hearing Doc Talk, which should be a spin-off of Talkin Chalk, Doc Talk, I really just miss Brian's insight. Your insight's okay. Your insight, it's okay. But Brian's, oh my God, dude, that guy spins it, dude. He can spit.
I just missed that UMass pick. That's it.
Yeah. So we loved it. I mean, we don't get off track.
Hold on. pen. The pen. The pen. Brian's always got a pen in his mouth every damn podcast. He's got a pen in his mouth.
You know, Brian's like, well, I'm going to take the UMass Minutemen plus 11.5. They got a great quarterback. They throw the ball. They're going to do whatever they want to do. Thrown apple, sharp. He's always looking up like he's reading off his dry erase board right there. They got a great team. Getting 11.5. It's a bad spot for Kansas State. I'm taking points.
I took UMass against Colorado. That worked out well.
Yeah, no, Jesus Christ. That was a shellac.
Yeah, that worked out great. That was nice. Nice. That was great. Way to step up, UMass.
Yeah. I don't even want to talk about that. I can get into that. But let's get back on track here, guys. Seriously. Why do we always have to mess up when it's my turn?
It's clockwork.
Just kidding. Doc, I'm actually going to feed off of your USC pick and doing a piece, my upset alert piece that I do every week in looking at Southern California, rather. Like I mentioned, 8-0 against the spread, have not lost consecutive games since Kessler took over. But in that time frame and in that sample size, they're averaging 36.3 points per game. And I think if you look at that matchup versus Washington, terrible matchup for USC. A Thursday night game in the Coliseum, a weak audience. Kessler lives for these type of games. The stage is set in Notre Dame. The crowd is going to be absolutely rocking. And I don't think that Notre Dame has played an offense quite like USC. I mean, UMass has a good offense, but they're still a MAC team that cannot measure up to Notre Dame's physicality. Clemson,
right.
I still don't think Clemson's offense has yet to click, even with Deshaun Watson. So, with that being said, I'm taking USC on the team total over 27. I tweeted at Bovada. I asked them if they could take my mother's pension check. If not, then they could take my life savings. USC, team total over 27. And with that, I drew a penguin that says, "Do me, Kessler." Yeah.
I'm amazed.
Guys, listen to me. I am running out of animals to draw. So that will be my last pick. Trojan.
That is.
I like it.
Alex, I'm impressed. I really am, buddy.
Sometimes you just get bored, you know?
You
You don't go out much. You don't have much of a social life. You're too busy capping games. What do you do in your free time? You draw animals. You get the people going. Sometimes it's hard to be a friend of the people, you know? You can't. More of a lifestyle than a hobby, to be perfectly honest with you. But, you know, like my girl Anne Frank always said, pimping ain't easy.
You draw better than Hackenberg throws.
There you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Do you want to get into this again? I'll get into it again. If they don't stay under 15.5, heads will roll. Somebody might die on Saturday. And I'll tell you who it's going to be. It's going to be my Twitter account.
It's going to be gone.
You'll be trying to at me like, haha, oh my God, Hackenberg touchdown.
You should specify, Alex, defensive pick six or fumble sixes. Those don't count. We're talking Hackenberg thrown points.
Hackenberg points. If it lands on 21, but it's because of a fumble into the end zone, I'm messaging the nearest live chat assistants, and I'm telling them that I want my fucking money. I'm saying Hackenberg didn't do a damn thing. He shouldn't be a top 10 draft pick. He sucks. Get Brandon Doughty in there.
Please.
It's a stat game. It's not an arm game. I don't care how far you can throw the ball. Give me a break, man. Get me out there.
Yeah,
I don't know. Are we doing upset alerts?
Sure.
Yeah,
Let's do it. Rome, upset alert. So here, let's recap this a little bit. So, Rome, you're taking Texas A&M, LSU, and you're also taking. Who was the last pick for you?
The second pick was Michigan State. Michigan State.
That's right. So you got Texas A&M plus the points, Michigan State plus the points, and LSU minus the points. Doc, you are taking Virginia Tech. You are taking Wake Forest plus 17.5, and you're also taking
USC.
USC.
But I'm waiting on the number.
Okay.
The
Awesome.
number I get is depending on what capacity I go at it.
Okay. Very nice. And I'm taking Oklahoma minus 4.5. I'm taking the team total over 31. I'm taking Penn State team total under 15.5, which will lose in the first quarter. And I'm taking the USC team total over 27. So let's get into these. We had a pretty good upset alert piece last week. I think we did pretty well, to say the least. I know Brian hit with. I'm pretty sure he took Kansas State. And we had Kansas State, Tennessee, Wyoming was in there. And I think I don't know what you did with that, Rome. I know we came back around to you. I don't know who you took in that, Cal or.
For which one?
I wasn't sure what route you went on the upset alert last week.
The upset alert last week. Honestly, I don't remember it. Did we?
Yeah, I don't. I'm not necessarily sure, but let's get into week 7 upset alert. Which team could potentially lose as favorites on Saturday?
You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, cool. So I'm actually looking at the Pac-12 specifically. I'm going to give you guys two potential upsets, and you guys, you might. I mean, you obviously already think I'm crazy because that's a good read. I am crazy. Alex can go on and on and on about that one. He could probably pass his entire college exams about writing an analysis and an essay on my mental health. But I'm gonna go with Utah in that game to get upset. Arizona State going on the road. I have no idea why. I'm looking at the game. To me, Utah -7. That seems a little low for some reason. I mean, we're talking about. Arguably, obviously, not a lot of people have them as number 1 because of Ohio State, because of Baylor, because of these other teams with stronger conferences. But, they're obviously a top 5 team. For whatever reason, I think Todd Graham's finally got State playing a little bit better. Berkovici's playing a bit better. I really like Arizona State to honestly pull the upset. I mean, I think the game will be close. I think that's why Utah's potentially now favored by maybe a little bit more. Another game in the Pac-12 that I think offers really good potential upset odds is going to be Arizona going on the road to play Colorado. Arizona's 4-2. Colorado is 3-3. It's a tough matchup. I mean, obviously you could look at the UCLA Stanford game too. I just think that Colorado has played a lot better this year than we thought, and I just think unless something changes, unless they get Scooby right back for Arizona this week, which I haven't really looked too much into the analysis. I'm just kind of looking at the Pac-12 slate this weekend. I mean, shoot, for that matter, UCLA at Stanford. That's going to be a close game. Both 4-1, 18 versus 15. Stanford at home. Honestly, I don't like UCLA as much in that game. I think Stanford. I think they'll probably win that game at home. But yeah, give me Colorado as a potential huge upset at home, and then give me Arizona State on the road, and we'll check and see.
Well, you are the Pac-12 junkie there, so we'll be banking on you. Well, I mean, it all relies on you, Rome. If you don't win for us, then be struggling to find food this weekend.
I won't eat.
Screw it. I don't need it. Doc and I were talking about Arizona State. It's a team that's coming in hot. It's a team that looks like it has a pulse compared to the first 4 weeks of the season. So be kind of fun to see how Berkovici comes into Utah and how he handles the Salt Lake City pressure. I mean, and here's the thing. Utah on College Game Day last weekend, a big game for Cal. It's almost the same exact thing, but I don't know. Forgive me for saying this, but I don't know if the intensity is going to be the same. A week after College Game Day, a big win over Cal, forcing one of the best quarterbacks in Jared Goff to throw 5 interceptions. Now you got to come back and do it all the same. I mean, you have to almost match that intensity.
Let me
last weekend. Go ahead, man.
Let me just say that the main reason why, and obviously I should probably offer a little bit more rhyme and reason to my insanity. I think Arizona State, I don't think they're necessarily going to do it over in the air. I think that they've got the necessary running backs. They've got at least 2 to 3 really, really solid running backs. They can run the clock. They can put in different people. I like them to actually run the ball on Utah's defense and try to move the chains and then set up the pass that way and potentially pull off the upset.
Awesome. Looks good to me, man. Doc, go ahead with your upset.
First of all, my apologies in advance. Power D picks.
Oh man.
Poor
Utah
guy.
is my number one. Utah is my number 1 team in the nation right now, as far as I'm concerned. The body of work and just the way they played. I think we can put the victory in Autzen. I think we can just kind of toss that aside. That really doesn't hold a lot of weight to me now. The fact that, Alex, we were talking earlier, game day was there, Salt Lake, place was electric in Rice Eccles. Goff throws 5 interceptions, yet Utah doesn't cover. So, I have a really bad feeling about this weekend. Not only that, but who does Utah have up next?
Bingo.
They might not be that great, but they're still USC. It's a big game. Anytime you play USC, it's a big game.
Yeah.
USC might not be the number 1 team in the Pac-12 this year, but it's still USC. It doesn't matter. It means a lot. This is a really, really bad spot for them. Arizona's playing on a free roll right now. They're playing relaxed. I was expecting big things out of Arizona State this year. I really was. I thought their defense was going to be a lot better, and then they got waxed by A&M, and I was like, oh, what the hell, But they're playing better now. I think they seriously could potentially go into Salt Lake and beat the Utah Utes. I agree with you, Ron.
Man, a team that's playing just extremely loose right now, and that has been clicking on all cylinders the past 2 weeks. The offense looks back into form. Berkovici's making great decisions. They're getting off to fast starts, and it looks like the offense from last year, the same team that could score in under 2 minutes, and an offense that can really just put a lot of pressure on opposing defenses. And as I mentioned, this is just the big thing here. College game day last weekend, one of the biggest games at Utah, to knock off Cal at home and to potentially propel them into the top 5. And now it's the exact same spot, except there is no college game day. There isn't that electricity that there was last weekend.
Mm-hmm. So
a sandwich spot, and I don't expect Utah to match the intensity from last weekend. I just don't. Simple
Alex,
as it sounds.
When I take a look at these matchups as we're getting in deeper to the year, Arizona State has no pressure on them whatsoever. Utah, the pressure's building every week. It's building, and how are they going to handle that pressure? How they, everybody's talking up Utah as a Final Four team. So the pressure's on Utah now, and that's a lot to handle. I mean, these are kids we're talking about. We're not talking about 28-year-olds. We're talking about 20-year-olds with a lot of pressure. Utah's never been in the national spotlight like this before. So, definitely magnified.
Yeah,
Pressure is undoubtedly mounting for Utah, and I think it's going to be a very good game. I really do. It's funny that a team like Utah is in talks for the national championship heading into Week 7, and we're not talking about Stanford, we're not talking about USC or Oregon, or even Arizona or UCLA for that matter. We're talking about Utah. Crazy. And obviously playing at home in the Pac-12 has been just a death sentence for the West Coast. So if we're it's just been so crazy out west, to be perfectly honest with you. So
to see an upset, always a shit show.
Yeah, to see an upset this weekend really just wouldn't be surprising. It would just be the common theme and the consistent motive of college football for this season. So you guys are riding the Arizona State train. I like it. I really do. I wish I could say that I didn't. I wish I could disagree with you guys, but we seem to be on the same page with a lot of the same things. For me, there was a lot of chalk, I think, that had value this weekend. So finding a dog has been rather hard, per se. But if I'm looking at one, I think one line just doesn't make sense. And my upset alert is going to be Bowling Green at home versus Akron. And I don't like playing these because you look at a Kent State, Miami, Ohio, Ball State, Akron. It's like they're all the same team. They all finish 4-8. They are typically very bad on both sides of the ball. But this line, I'm just making this play off the line alone. One of the hottest offenses in the country in Bowling Green, obviously with Matt Johnson. The offense is seemingly one of the best in the country. So I may be walking in on coals here, but I just think that the line doesn't make sense. I think you look at last week, UMass was also 11-point dog to Bowling Green. Bowling Green ended up putting up, I want to say, 62 points on them. I don't know. It's definitely a weird game. I wouldn't be surprised if Bowling Green should win the game by 28 points. They should score at will. Something just tells me that they won't. So give me Akron plus 11.5 and on the money line for my upset alert pick of the week. And
Nice.
so yeah, I mean, no real trends. Nothing that says that Bowling Green shouldn't score. They should be able to do what they want on offense. 68 points. Obviously a little bit irregular for an Akron game. They're not a team that really exploits their offense, but against a defense that really is susceptible to a big play and a team that really hasn't really stopped anybody yet. So if Akron can put some points on the board and get a few stops, who knows what can happen. That's my upset alert. Take it for what it is. I would tread lightly, but just a line that does not make sense to me, and I really do think that the smart guys perhaps know something that we don't. So with that being said, Akron zips plus 11.5 money line. So that should close it out. Any closing thoughts from you two?
I just wanted to say I'm really interested in watching this Boston College Clemson game. I really want to see how Clemson plays this weekend. I think they could potentially roll. Clemson minus 15.5 at home is obviously a pretty significant number. But I think they really could. They've got a lot of positive energy going on over there, and the team's really clicking. You got Dabo trying to hit the nay-nay, a couple weeks ago or whatever that was. I've seen Alex hit the nay-nay better than that. I'm not gonna lie.
I would never do that in my life. I'd rather stub my toe 3 times a day for the rest of my life than ever hit a whip or a nay-nay.
How dare you? How dare you? But
nice try, Rome.
Okay, all right.
No fish zone.
Maybe one of these days. So how about this? Instead of quitting Twitter, you're hitting the whip and the nay-nay then if the Penn State scores more than 15.5.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. Bookmark it.
Bookmark it, my man. But yeah, I just think I'm really curious just to see how Clemson. I think they're going to roll. I mean, this could be the game we've kind of been waiting for to Clemson. To throw out like one of these like 40-0 games. Just make a statement because I do think they're starting to really come together. I'm also curious to see how Mississippi State plays at Memphis. I think that's going to be an interesting game to keep an eye on. It's an early one.
Oh yeah, yep.
Ole Miss Memphis should be a good one.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, just want to throw those two out there.
Cool. Doc, any last words, man? Anything you want? Anything that comes to your mind?
Oh God. I'm kind of at a loss for words. Actually, a couple of games I was looking at. Louisville plus 7 at home against Florida State. No, Florida State. I was looking at Louisville plus 7 at Florida State. I was looking at Memphis plus 10.5, but the thing is, I don't know. I think the Florida game for Mississippi for Ole Miss, I think that Florida game was a big wake-up call. Should be a lot of crazy stuff this weekend, a lot of upsets. Honestly, I can't even put a finger on who's going to be in the Final Four. I really have no clue right now. If you ask me who's going to be in the Final Four this year in the playoff, it'd be anybody but Clemson, because I think Clemson's the most overrated team in the country. I'm sorry, Brum, but they are. I think Deshaun Watson has the worst quarterback mechanics I have ever seen. He's like Dak Prescott 2.0.
I hate Dak Prescott. I don't like Dak Prescott.
I don't either. And I'm waiting for Clemson to pull Clemson. Wouldn't surprise me if it happened this weekend against BC. So, are they playing? Is Clemson playing BC this week?
Yeah, this weekend at home.
Ooh, I should have put them on upset alert, but because they're going to pull Clemson, they will.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. The clock is ticking. Dabo Swinney is not a big game coach. I'm sorry, he's just not. And Notre Dame should have won that game because they turned the ball over 5 times or whatever and dropped 9 passes.
Yeah.
There, I'm done.
Awesome. Well, there you have it.
I hate Clemson. I hate Clemson.
There you have it. Well, we got Texas A&M. We have LSU, Michigan State from Rome, along with Arizona State as his upset pick. We have Virginia Tech plus the points. We have USC plus the points. And we also have Wake Forest plus the points. Arizona State on upset alert for Doc. For myself, I'm going Oklahoma. Team total over 31 and minus 4.5. Taking USC over the team total 27. I am also taking Penn State's team total under 15.5 in my upset alert. Is Akron plus 11.5. My final 4 prediction: Stanford, Alabama, Baylor, and Michigan. And with that, we'll close it out. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. We always appreciate you guys sticking with us and just absorbing the knowledge. So with that being said, guys, good luck this weekend as always, and we will be back next weekend for Week 8. Have a good one.
Thank you, Doc.
Thanks, guys.
Later, boys. See you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, later.